guys. That's the topic for today. Hey guys, welcome to UCC. Thankful for you guys to be joining us today, man. It's your boy Sep.
It's Wes.
It's Hobby.
It's Gabe.
And it's JJ.
Hope you guys been doing well. Excited to be here with everyone, man. How you guys doing, boys?
Doing good, man.
Great, man.
Doing good. Feeling good to be back. Feel like I missed a couple weeks, and so
We missed you.
Great.
awesome to
Good
be
to have you.
back here on the mic with UCC fam.
Welcome
Bringing
back.
you Trichomes.
I am indubitably medicated. That's how I'm doing.
We had a couple
Second
rips
that.
of vapes before this. It was awesome.
Yep.
Appreciated the love from Montana. Shout out. It's really great.
Yeah.
It's a good stuff.
Really exciting topic today. So we're going to be covering trichomes kind of from the ground up to give you a good picture of how and what they are in the realm of cannabis. And the way that the cannabis culture has started to curate some themes around them as well.
For sure.
So starting into trichomes, let's start at the very beginning. Let's start in the grow room. When you're growing
The grow up,
cannabis,
let's go.
when you're growing cannabis, what are your trichomes initially going to start expressing in their development?
Perfect. So with trichomes, they appear in cannabis kind of in late flowering, right? Is that when they kind of start to form in flower in the veg state?
Yeah.
For flower. For those that don't know what trichomes are, what are trichomes for the people?
So trichomes are the resin gland that produces all of the honey of cannabis.
So basically all those little white hairs
Yes.
that you see on your cannabis, those are trichomes.
And they
little
serve various
tiny-
functions, including deterring herbivores with their bitter taste and sticky texture, protecting against UV light and attracting pollinators. Trichomes are granular structures that consist of a stalk and a head. The head contains the highest concentration of cannabinoids, terpenes, and other compounds. And it's kind of hard to explain it. If you look these up on Google and find a really good image, you'll know what we're talking about. You'll see a stalk and you'll see a head.
The head.
And those are what is on the cannabis plant. And that's what we're discussing today with
A lot of
trichomes.
people will say like, "Oh, my greens are like my nugs are frosty,"
Right.
and it's because it looks like you almost like pour
Diamonds.
sugar.
When you
Yeah.
shine a light on it, you can see them just shine and crystallize.
Yeah.
So another thing that a good way to explain a trichome to somebody that doesn't quite understand the anatomy of cannabis yet is when you start grabbing your bud, you'll notice that it's sticky. It's really, really sticky in your hands. It looks like it has this sugar coating or frost like Wes was talking about. Those are the resin glands that we're referring to when we talk about a trichome. It's a really, really unique expression that you find in a lot of different plants throughout nature. And like Sep was saying, it is a very, it's repellent.
Yeah,
essentially,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Deterrent for like animals and stuff like that.
Insects.
And even for us as humans, when you touch a certain trichome on a plant, your finger starts to have a little oil. And it's when you try to wash it off with water, it's kind of hard a little bit. You know, to wash it off. That's that oil, and that's the protective agent in the flower. You know, that's its protective properties, even for us humans. So
With just
interesting fact.
protective properties too, you went over like texture and stuff. Obviously, you're gonna have a big aroma as well as a deterrent,
Bingo.
and even as far as like consumer, like you're gonna have certain aromas and flavors that you lean towards versus ones that you don't like. And so same thing with like obviously the invader ants or whatever species, gnats, who knows what bug problem, but it does help drive some of that away.
Yeah, also deer not being able to eat it in wilderness. It's really, really gross for deer. It'll make their throats really itchy. So deer won't eat cannabis either because of the texture that it has from the resin gland.
They don't like it.
So now that we're kind of understanding what the trichome is, let's talk about a little bit more in depth of the stages of the trichome. So when you get into the grow room and you're starting to notice that your plant is developing a trichome, the initial color of that trichome is going to start out as clear. And what that's indicating is that it's going to be mainly producing THC in that stage.
Right.
as time goes on and that trichome has more time to develop, it has a transformation process. Some people look at it as a degradation,
Right.
but in my opinion, it's a transformation. So THC will start to transfer into CBD, into CBD, CBG, and then CBN. Or no, CBN
Yep.
and then CBG.
Yep, no, that's correct. Yep, because those go through the steps of cannabinoid profiles, and then those also follow the color profile of the trichome as well, right? The clear, starting off with that THCA, right?
Cloudy.
Those precursors, and then going into that cloudy, milky, right? The introduction of that CBD, then going into that amber color, kind of
Yes,
producing the
that
CBN, CBG, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of like your desired effects, what you're going for, the type of genetics you're going for, the type of effects you're going for, the type of aromas you're going for. Some might not look like they're completely frosty, but when you smoke it, you're like couch locked all the way. You know what I'm saying? It might not appear. And there's certain ways to look at trichomes too, with certain devices.
Yeah, so honestly, there's a couple of different jeweler's loops that
There
you
you
can
go.
buy that
Magnifying.
are really simple, just at Walmart if you want to shop something local.
Yeah.
Amazon if you're looking for something a little bit more in particular.
Because it's kind of hard to see with the eye a
able
little
to
bit.
find good stuff. It is a little bit harder to see, but you
You can,
honestly
though.
can tell if the flower is looking extra frosty
Yeah,
or
buddy.
really glittery. You know that it's going to be leaning on the clearer side.
And like I
But
said, you could bring it up with a light, and
Yeah.
it's even easier to see because they shine. They
Yeah.
like reflect the light.
Yeah, so you can also see in the actual appearance, but if you would like to get a little bit more personal,
Right.
definitely pick up a jeweler's loop. It's really cool seeing the time and state that we're in right now, having so much knowledge at hand to be able to really understand what's affecting us and what even the trichome is. So like we listed all the major cannabinoids that the trichome holds, but it also is a part of the aromatic expression.
And that's
if-
where. Oh.
You know, if I'm a newcomer coming onto cannabis, what's the point of getting a jeweler's loop? Like, can you explain what are the benefits of getting a jeweler's loop and looking at your cannabis and examining it, or
Yeah.
your medicine?
Yeah, so in my opinion, it gives you a little bit more intuition and knowledge about what you should be anticipating your flower to correspond with you. So like
Right.
if you're looking for something, you can even, most of the time, if you go into a shop and you bring a jeweler's loop and you ask them, can I look at the jar? They'll show you the jar.
How much does a jeweler's loop cost? Sorry to cut you off.
$10.
$10.
10 to $5.
Gotcha.
Um,
So pretty easy access.
Yeah, pretty easy access, but most of the time they'll allow you to bring your own like little magnifying glass. They have no problem with it, you know. So you can do that, in my opinion, and that would be the benefit if you really do want to start utilizing that. But all their own, you know, depends on how you're trying to.
I would
interact with
say
your
another
product.
big part of it too would be to start wherever you're at in your cannabis journey. If you were a brand new consumer and it's like, what's a jeweler's loop? It helps you start the groundwork for your own quality control. Like you're starting to step into a field of different medicine, or if you've known this medicine, you're starting to now be able to understand like if something's bad. Maybe you find bud rot
Right.
in
Now you're
things that
talking
you
about
have
some real
been
topics
smoking,
that-
right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I
Quality
think that a
assessment.
jeweler's loop helps build the foundation for quality control, which is huge
Right.
Yeah.
for a consumer.
It's a great point. That's a really great point. Thank you for bringing that back up. But back to the trichome topic of it also being a predominant contributor to the aromatic and the flavor expression of the plant. The trichome is a very, very valuable component of the plant. It also is volatile. So we can also talk about how we can also try our best to curate a safe environment throughout the harvest, clear until it's at the shop, until it's in your home and it's being consumed. So a really good way to do that, what would be one way that you would recommend? I know I stumbled on that, my bad.
Well, as a person, let's say I'm a newbie, right, and I'm going to the dispensary, right, and one of the first things that's like, I already bought the product, you know, and I'm like, dang, what can I do right now to control my trichomes?
Yeah.
A grinder. A good quality grinder is what you want to start off with.
Mill.
Or
You know what I mean? Or a mill. You know, you want to get a good little flour mill that can preserve not only the terpenes, but the flavor that will be contained in those glands, right? The less disruption, the less knocking off of those heads, the less contact that you have, the more that you can have the effect of your smoke,
So
essentially,
no
right?
trichomes, no high.
Technically, but that's not. I mean, you're gonna
So,
smoke
like,
the
is
whole,
there-
you're gonna smoke the whole flower, but
Is there still
Yeah, there still are.
cannabinoids in the flower and not in the trichomes?
No.
right, that's right. You're right.
No. So that's where,
correct.
so there's
No.
biomass,
Right.
and then there's the actual potency that we're deriving from. So that's why you'll never see an actual plant. Some of these test results that have been out, they're a complete shamble. You'll never see a plant produce over 46% THC. That it's just unheard of, or total cannabinoids. It's
Right.
almost unheard of to see 50%
Wait, how much did you
of
say?
a flower.
Oh yeah, 50%. Yeah.
50, because you got to look at it in almost layman's terms. That's saying that 50% of the biomass is covered in a trichrome that has a high potential for being psychoactive, right? So that's a huge claim, right? So 23 to like, so let's start at like 14 to 28% is
Highest I've seen is like
realistic.
32.
Yeah, and even that to me is a little questionable.
Right.
In my opinion,
definitely.
and this is all my opinion.
Yeah.
This is
I think
no
still that's
fact.
inflated. I can agree with you for that.
You know,
for sure.
but
yeah.
when you're looking at
Oh, yeah.
biomass and like potential weight contributors
Mm-hmm.
and like what that means, and it's crazy to think that there are claims of that. So that's my opinion. But yeah, it's unique.
Yeah, I just
Right.
wanted to ask that question just for the people that don't really know too much, you know.
Well, because the cool part about trichomes is that's where the primary site is
Right.
of where the terpenes lie, right? Myrcene, limonene, right? Earthy, floral. Those are the primary terpenes that are within like the head of this
trichomes.
mushrooms, right? So further disruption, right? You're just kind of like milking the oil, right? Your oil is getting caught in your grinder, your mill, and stuff like that. Mainly in your grinder because of the sharp teeth, right? All those crazy teeth that are in there, right?
And then
So-
with the keef you get in your grinder or your mill, what was that tech you were saying? The static tech? And then it gets the trichomes to just
Yep.
separate from the
it cleans all the
separate from
stalks.
the matter.
Yeah, so the stalks are what ends up coming up
Okay.
from it, and then the resin glands get left behind.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
sick.
Nice.
Dry tag, baby.
Yeah,
And I would
people-
say, like, I know we said flour mill a couple of times, and like the biggest difference between that and a grinder is that it has blades, so
It cuts.
thinly slices your greens, your cannabis, and so it's able to keep all those heads and stalks more intact. And then the end product, when you open your mill, it's not collecting keef, it's keeping the whole plant together, which is there when you're getting like what that plant truly is, rather than a grinder where you collect keef.
Right. But
Yeah.
my mill does have a keef collector.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I think you can get, there's variants. I think company to company.
But it's like one of those you don't notice unless you have like you've used both.
Yeah.
Because like grinders, you do get I'm guessing a substantial more than what you would get in the
100%.
flour mill.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. There's a lot of
Yeah,
facts
that's
on
you're
that.
true on that. That's right.
Yeah. So like uneven grinding, right, can be poor for your flour, right? Inconsistently can lead to uneven burning when smoking, right? The smoothness, trichome damage, which contain the cannabinoids and terpenes, right? The delicate structure, a bad grinder, bad
Well,
design,
the
right?
trichomes are damaged, like even in the bag, like
Yeah,
they're
even in the
running around.
bag,
So
you
when
know,
you
if you're
break
running
up
around.
your nug and you see them undisturbed trichomes,
100%.
you can really see the resin glands a lot better.
For sure. And that's why you want to keep intact for the flavor, the smell. The
Jars are
taste.
helpful.
Yes.
Jars.
A lot of hash heads, they chase this stuff. A lot of guys that want to wash.
Why do hash heads chase this stuff?
Man, they're chasing the flavor, they're chasing potency, effects, unlocking new
Trichomes
flavor
are where it's at,
profiles.
right?
You know, yeah.
Also, harm reduction.
Harm reduction,
They have it's
yep.
safer to consume less
Plant matter.
Plant matter, right?
Less carbon in general.
And taking more aroma and flavor, right? So that's the beauty of it, leading onto the stages of, you know, trichome production. But as a trichome consumer, right, I would definitely like to find flower that's pretty frosty, that has good trichome production, maybe something that's not too sedative and ambery, maybe some clear, milky for me, mainly a little bit.
Yeah.
Me personally, but yeah.
And I would say
too.
another thing that could help every consumer is having a good understanding of how to store it too, right? And so if you are storing it in a jar, but like you're shaking that jar a lot, like
Leaving it in the sun.
you keep rattling it. Yeah, you keep rattling it around. You leave it in the sun.
Or in your hot car.
In the hot car, don't leave it in the hot car, man.
Don't leave it in the hot car, bro.
Don't leave anything.
Unless it's a
like-
concentrate that you're trying to purge and like get a little bit of a different.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it says avoid
yeah.
plastic bags, man. They can create static and degrade the trichomes.
Yeah.
So if you got an airtight jar, you know what I'm saying, glass jar, avoid the plastic bags, man. Don't bring the sandwich
sure.
bag to the event.
And then if you're not gonna be smoking it, just like leave it in a dark, cold space, undisturbed. Just like let it go chill and just like leave it there, because that also helps with not knocking off all those trichomes and
Think
then
about it like
being
you're
left
trying
behind.
Think about it like you're trying to save your potato. If you leave a potato out in the sunlight, it's gonna continue to grow. That's essentially what's happening.
I don't know,
Degradation,
boy,
dude.
Well, light exposure, right? If you're showing your flower, I'm opening it like right next to the sunlight, that shit's gonna.
I'm like, I rolled around some potatoes.
Dude, their faces were fucking like, oh my god, he's talking about potatoes.
Yeah.
Gabe really talking about potatoes right now.
I hate you. I hate all you.
We're gonna have a compilation like years later of Gabe, like how many times Gabe talks about potatoes.
Hey, they're a great metaphor, boys.
Hey, what kind of potato?
Russet.
He said they were good OG.
No, russet.
Oh man, sorry to.
Dang, you totally did. What were we saying? Storage.
Yeah.
So yeah, staying
exactly.
away from plastic bags, but if you could get Grove bag, maybe some Terp Lock technology.
Yep.
What's a Grove bag?
I mean, that's the big wave. More out in
Just storage,
Cali
man. They're
and-
really high tech.
I say other states because in Utah we don't see them.
Yeah.
Just industry leading in terms of like storing, how to preserve, you know, flour, post, pre-harvest, things like of that matter, and how to
Grove bag.
take care of it. Yeah, the bags are they're a lot more.
Yeah, it's like anti-static
efficient.
material,
Yeah.
and so
Instead of turkey bags, where turkey bags are made for turkeys, right? The industry will keep relying on it. So you brought up a good point with growth bags.
yeah, and I'd say that lets you do the same things with like in a sense Mylar, like you see like the crazy designs and everything. Like a Grove bag, like still having a bag, lets you have a lot of different designer options,
Right.
more necessarily than like a
Right.
jar.
Yeah.
So it just gives you
Upfront.
more space as like a brand to kind of do your own thing.
Rather than wrap around.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, it starts with the growers, the harvesters, then the processors. Because if they don't take care of it, then by the time it gets to you, you'll be with that jeweler's lube looking at some real
Them
messed up flower.
undisturbed
Hey,
trichomes.
Gotta shout out some geneticists that have been breeding for trichomes. Schwally Seeds, Farmhouse,
Shout out.
Farmhouse Genetics.
Huge shout out.
Shout out.
What are your guys' opinion on his tactics that he's using?
I think it's great. I don't necessarily understand all of the
Lingo.
lingo when it comes to like what microns and why you would want them for what end product. Like that's where I slowly get lost. But for those who don't know, Schwally posts pictures of his strains. And what's one that he has? I wanted to say like
Jomo?
Star Strain. Jomo the Hut.
Yeah.
Yes, Jomo the Hut, of course. But it shows pictures of like really zoomed in on a singular trichome.
Right.
And it can have multi-glandular heads.
Yes.
And so you have variations of options of what you could get for like a washing end result.
Amen.
So you can have one big head, you could have like 3, like a tripod almost. And so that's where like I take a step back because I'm not the hash maker. I'm not the concentrate man, but it does have a lot of
multi-gland trichomes.
Yes.
It's super informative.
That's like the biggest one of his main topics right now is like the multi-gland trichomes and how that it's not just a stalk and the head at the top, but how there's extra glands forming to make easier wash, better returns, higher yields. You know what I'm saying? And better melts in general. You know what I'm saying? So it's really cool to see him kind of stand behind like, oh no, this is not an extra head because it shows this, and he shows images of zoomed in, you know, into the trichome, and you can actually see it. So that's a really good account. You know, trichome tortoise. You know, they got the trichome literally in their names. Good washers. You know, these guys really good at amazing product when they wash with their genetics that they choose. Genetics, right? That's also another big one, right? Choosing good, viable genetics that are able to produce good returns. If you're going to be a washer, but if you're going to be a consumer, same thing. You know, you want to find that potency, good profile for you. So, and it's different for everyone too, how trichomes affect everyone. So,
yes, 100%. What about here in Utah? I mean, a lot of people are using like dryer vaporizers. You know, some still smoke like joints, bongs. Like, what are some ways that they can improve their consumption with like some trichome help?
So,
give them some help.
One great way is keeping maintenance on your glass. I have let my bong go a little bit, and I noticed the difference. You boys let me held me accountable.
I do too, dude.
I felt it. The pressure was on. It was clean, and I noticed the difference.
Hey, Seb.
But that's a huge thing that you can do. Is clean your product. Make sure that your hardware. Clean your hardware to make sure that it's ready for new products, so that way you can get the best profile and the best potential of getting the cleanest hit possible.
yeah, because when you have the proper combustion and good, well-maintained device, you could have a good, well release of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavor with what you're smoking.
With a water pipe, especially, like sometimes a dry pipe hits better when there's a little resin like added into it. You know what I mean? Like when it's just completely cleaned out, you just like.
That's questionable.
Questionable. Except what's questionable is like, he looked at me crazy, dog.
I mean, that is subjective.
But no, like 100% the water pipe. Like any water device, if you have any sort of, I feel like resin and stuff, it's not gonna burn the same. Like the resin does get in the way, and like I don't know the science of it necessarily, but like when you don't have a clean device, then like things are obstructing its path and it's not burning the right way. It only makes sense that like maybe the flavor's sticking to it, and so like you're getting something that's not obviously as good of tasting, even though it's still being filtered. And so that does end up affecting like the high for you and your medicine, like, and so it may not lead to the desired result just because you have a dirty piece.
Preaching to the choir.
Sadly.
Bomba.
We know how it is though. Sometimes you just want to smoke and get it over with and chill, and that's it. You know, like
Hey,
not trying to clean it
isopropyl
right
alcohol, 91%. Just let it
$2
soak.
from your
Just let it soak.
Walmart, Family Dollar,
Just let it
anywhere.
soak. It's really simple.
There's
You don't
a-
have to waste a bunch of hot water and sugar or salt. Don't do that.
And isopropyl alcohol. There's a product by 420 Science called ResBlock, and it's basically just like vegetable glycerin, and you put like just some drops in your bong, and it just makes the resin not stick to any of the sides, and so when you clean your bong, it's just comes right out.
Crazy. I didn't even know.
So
it's
that
something
product
like
is
that.
super awesome.
Yeah, I had no
Definitely
idea.
hit up that product.
That's S tier. That's platinum.
But yeah, definitely keep your shit clean. You don't want to be smoking out of a dirty pipe, and especially when you have people over, you invite some people over, and it's like,
Dude, what is this?
Yeah,
What's with a dirty plate?
Yeah,
It's like
it
you
literally
just want a
says
dirty
dirty
plate.
smoking devices can lead to a less enjoyable experience for.
I felt it.
It's you know.
Felt it.
We did too. You know, it was crazy.
alters the
Say we
flavor.
did too.
It was crazy.
You got us.
And I would
Yeah.
also say for like
It
the
can
people
mask.
using dryer vaporizers, it really blocks like airflow. Like that's one thing
Oh, yeah.
that I've definitely ran into. I don't personally have one, but when I do have others and like have hit others before, it's something that like you can kind of easily tell. It's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of sucking through a really small straw or like a really big straw. It's
Yeah,
like that kind of difference as far as the airflow that you do get. So
Yeah, it's different for sure.
yeah, you still got to keep them clean.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it also talks about that the resin buildup can mask or distort the natural terpene profile and flavors, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So it can literally mask or distort like the resin buildup and tar in your pipe. So
Yeah,
if you're like, man,
your
I don't.
pipes.
And I'm like, well, no shit, man. You tasted
And if
the
it-
resin buildup.
And
in
if
your
it didn't
pipe.
work as good when it was, dirty, get a new pipe.
For real.
That shit wasn't blown right.
you'll know, and you'll know when a homie's like, here's a clean pipe, and you taste it through a clean device.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, Trichomes. There's a lot of depthness to it, a lot of segues we can go, but we just wanted to give you guys that general info. You know,
Yeah, if you didn't know anything about trichomes, now you know
how do you spell it?
a lot more.
I always have troubles. You spell it Trichromes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Trichomes.
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 I say trichomes.
They're really useful, man. They're awesome. If you found it interesting, study. Go look up these people that Schwally's
Yeah.
just one of our main people that we mentioned.
Huge shout out to. There was another geneticist that Wes wanted to shout out.
Kaya from Pacific Northwest Roots.
Shout out Kaya.
He has some crazy genetics. His like coffee line is pretty in depth. Some like, and he has like, I know he has some chocolate stuff.
Yeah.
Damn,
And
that sounds
so-
interesting.
And he's really big hash maker. So
Yeah.
everything on his end is trichomes for sure, through and through.
So shout out those guys. Make sure that you give them a little check out. If you have any questions, their websites are really informative. They have a lot of great
I have
information.
one more question for you, Gabe.
Yeah.
Are trichomes only on cannabis?
No. No.
Trichomes are in other plants.
Yeah, trichomes are in other plants too. So
Can you give me one for example?
actually, I can't think of one right off
Let's
the top.
pull one up. Let's Google one.
There's a couple
sorry
of
to put you on the
indigenous
spot.
species. No, there. I know this. I just can't think of the plant name.
Mint,
Anything
Mint
that's
has
like
trichomes,
tomato,
tomatoes, of course,
thyme, rosemary.
a little fuzzy.
tobacco, even.
it's the fuzz.
I see, like,
dude. I just couldn't
pineapple.
like think of one right off top.
Yeah. It's all the fuzzy ones, and that fuzz there is trichomes. Yeah, stinging nettle.
I keep forgetting they have like special scientific, like genetic family names for the plants.
Oh, like,
So, like,
Cannabis ruderalis.
Yeah, like nicotine is like a nicotine, SSP, like
nicotina.
something, right. Or like cotton plant is like gypsum,
Hops.
SSP. You know what I just connected the other day too? That cottonwood is the cottonwood trees that's here in Utah.
Dogs came into the studio.
Yo.
Yeah,
How's it, E?
the OGs, the guests. We love our pets, man. If you got pets, man, we love you guys even more. Just saying. If you don't, we love you still.
Yeah.
But shout out to our
Dogs,
dogs. But shout out to our furry
friends
pets.
out there.
Yeah, and animals and trichomes are very interesting. They also, like you mentioned it earlier, right? They feel, and they can, they can sense it when it's on their skin too. An irritant, right? A repellent. So, cool facts, man. I love trichomes. You guys like trichomes?
I love trichomes.
Yeah. Trichomes.
Trichomes.
Trichomes, man.
Trichomes.
So if you-
Handle with care.
handle with care. Find some
Fragile.
good frosty ones. When you're like, but don't be going in the dispensary. Be like, yo, what's the most frosty one? I mean, maybe, right? Is that how
you
they would
could.
approach it, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
you heard it here
Artists
first.
would love to tell you which one.
They'll be like, yo, man, this one's
Super frosty.
Frosty the Snowman, dude.
Hey, but frosty doesn't always relate to potency. It really doesn't. Frostiness does not always relate to potency and effect.
Damn.
THC or trichomes can always be in its CBD state that's less psychoactive. And if it's predominantly CBD, you won't have a lot of those desired effects, especially if you're looking for more potent flower.
And that's like the hemp flower, right?
Yeah.
That Delta 8.
Yeah, So there are definitely triked out flowers that, in my opinion, don't look for frost, look for terpene profile. Ask your bud tenders which one's the loudest. The nose knows, the eyes can be deceived. Just go with your nose. Ask them what's the loudest. If you're going into a shop, ask them the loudest pack. They'll definitely correspond.
Agreed.
And that's it for today. That's pretty much the Trichomes.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, hit us up on Instagram at utah.cannabis.club. Make sure to give us a follow. Join the club there. Join the club on Twitter. Join the club everywhere at YouTube.
Come on. Hell yeah.
Anything else, guys?
No, we appreciate you guys for always keeping up, always supporting, listening, tuning in. We appreciate the feedback. Don't be afraid to keep showing us love. Share it, man.
Yeah. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your cousin.
You want to be on the show? Go ahead and send us a DM, man. Slide us, we're open to all guests. But yeah, definitely hit us up, man. We want to open that platform for you guys to speak, and But yeah, you already know where to find us.
You see what it is.
It's your boy Seth.
It's Wes.
It's Hobby.
It's Gabe.
And it's JJ.
We are much.
See what it is.
We are much.
Come on.
Yeah.
Peace out, y'all.
Hell yeah.
Peace.
Damn, hey, appreciate y'all, man. For real, dog. Hey, on real though, man. We out here, man. Why did the trichome break up with the stem?
Why?
Because it couldn't handle the clingy relationship.